Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Armstrong.
Thank you. And before I go any further, I just want to say that I feel very privileged to be in the room of such intelligent people today. I felt like every speaker was speaking directly to me, and I've got a head full of notes that hopefully will help me both personally and in business moving forward. So, one other thought that occurred to me that's not part of my presentation that I also found sort of interesting is that communication and intelligence are, at least for our species, inextricably connected. So without the ability to connect with other folks, we wouldn't be as smart as we are. And that's something that's sort of obvious to communicate here. But the advancements that we're seeing in communication, not just in recent history, but for a long time, for the last, let's say, 200,000 years, have really led us to a very exciting place. And looking at it from that perspective, I think it's a different way to look at what I'm about to spend the next 15 minutes on. So I'm going to take you through every excruciating detail of the last 200,000 years of the history of communication. I'm just kidding. I'll try to keep that fast. So... Oh. Okay. It's not a problem. So I'll just jump into it a little bit, and it doesn't really matter. So are we getting feedback now? Okay. Sorry. So advancements in communication have yielded some amazing opportunities for us, and if we go back to about 200,000 years ago, we see the first major advancements in what marked the first communication revolution, and that was when our ancestors started carving into stone or painting onto rock. And what this marked, why this was so important, is for the first time ever, we were able to share and preserve ideas. And this was a major milestone because we didn't have to relearn the same lessons over and over again, and we could benefit from the experiences of our ancestors. And as we continued to evolve, we eventually figured out clay and papyrus and paper, and these were more convenient means of transcribing our thoughts and laws and artistic attempts into something that was also portable. And this marked the second communication revolution. And what's really notable there is that now, for the first time ever, and this is, let's say, in the last 100,000 years, ideas were not bound by their geographic point of origin. So you were able to really define countries and have countries that were bound by laws. You were able to have ideologies that were spread across waters. And this was phenomenal for us on a global scale because now we started to get connected. And as we connect more, we become more intelligent. And this is all leading to something that I refer to as the Gutenberg Effect, which is, I'm going to just get caught up here for a second. So this is stolen from Wikipedia. There's an excerpt, this is excerpted from one of their pages. It was hard to find who to credit, but I thought this was a nice way of explaining what communication is. So one-to-one communication is what I've been describing up until this point, and that is obviously where you can communicate either through speech or through writing, but it happens on a very personal, intimate scale. And what happened about 600 years ago is that a German gentleman by the name of Johannes Gutenberg invented movable type. And that was phenomenal because, actually he invented a process for mass producing movable type. That was really big because now printing presses became viable on a global scale. And so we saw the birth of books and eventually newspapers and posters and all kinds of ways that we could share our ideas on more than just a one-to-one scale. As we move further down our timeline of human evolution, we reach a point not too long ago where we started figuring out how to control electronic signals and waves. And this has marked the third communication revolution. And notable here that the major milestones are computers and the internet, because for the first time ever, this communication stream is not going one to many, it's going any to many. And now we are all participating in the dialogue. And I can't think of a better example of that than right here, right now. I feel that I have something to share, and there are people, not in this room, that are potentially benefiting from that. And I can certainly say that I've benefited from a lot of what people have shared here and at other TEDx experiences, events. So what that brings me to is the opportunity that this presents. And first, let's just talk about business, and then eventually I want to talk about the bigger picture. You look at the modern worlds, the Steve Chens and the Biz Stones, and what we're doing with these platforms that we're creating, and the common ground is actually the dialogue itself. It's not so much geographic as it is the fact that we are bringing people together through shared conversations, and those conversations can be the fact that we're selling goods, or the fact that we are communicating via Twitter the same way, or sharing videos. And there's a level of loyalty, you can call it patriotism there. There's a level of familiarity, and there's certainly commerce. So I would bid to you this afternoon to think of Facebook as a country, think of eBay as a country, and I think that allows us to better appreciate the opportunity in front of us and to acknowledge, anyway, it gives you a better perspective on what I'm about to describe here. So one platform in particular, though, that I find especially exciting is the continent of the mobile. Within this space, we've seen such significant advancements that now things that just a few years ago were relegated to NASA-grade instruments are now commonplace. In fact, I would bet that every single person sitting here and anyone watching this probably has most of the following on them: a magnetometer, which is a digital compass; an accelerometer, which is sort of like a digital gyroscope; GPS, which means you're being tracked; the touch screens that you've got, probably Wi-Fi broadband. You think about all of that, and what's funny is, even though technically these are cheaper devices than desktop computers, if you remove yourself from the expense of the hardware, they're actually a lot more powerful than desktop computers, even laptops, because you have a level of immersion and integration with your world that you just can't do with any other type of tethered device. And so what I find interesting about the YouTubes and the Twitters, even though they might have originally been designed for use on tethered devices, is that they allow people to communicate their thoughts when and where they feel is most appropriate. And the thing that's most exciting about that to me is that there's a level of beautiful truth that exists in those conversations that you don't get with polished dialogues. So when I'm catching something on my phone and I'm sharing it to YouTube, there's no editing going on there. And when I'm spontaneously responding to something and I'm sharing a tweet, I might sound like a fool. It might be that a lot of people are responding to the same thing. There's a lot of different ways that we can look through that, but to see that voice, both collectively and of the individual, is really interesting to me. And I think that it brings us closer together, not only because we better understand and appreciate one another's perspective, but more literally that we're actually able to connect with friends and family and people that we haven't even met yet. Which brings me to the point of this entire presentation, which is that advancements in technology are now outpacing, advancements in technological innovation are now outpacing advancements in ideological ones. So for the first time ever, if you look at the timeline that I just laid out, up until now, there's been a major advancement in technology which has allowed for a major breakthrough in communication. And we are now at a point where that doesn't have to be that way. There is more hardware available for us, more potential for what we can do with that than right now we know how to wrap our heads around. And so for every monocle that exists, which is Yelp, which is a phenomenal application that that's utilizing augmented reality, and that's about to be a big wave of technology that you'll see here in the next year, where you're overlaying data over top your view of the world. For every app that exists like that, there's a dozen that has yet to be even identified. And so I appeal to anyone looking at potentially entering the mobile space to take a broader lay of the land, so to speak, and consider more than just augmented reality, and consider more than just what exists to date. because the combination of those various instruments and the fact that people are more prepared to receive information these days, we're more trained to interact in the mobile space, is a really exciting opportunity. And so today I'm going to give you an example of one, which is something that I've been very privileged to work with a team of very hardworking, creative, and intelligent people for the last year. We've developed a remote reality platform. I say remote reality because unlike augmented reality, the whole idea of our platform is to take you someplace other than where you're at. And so I just want to give a couple of analogies here first before we talk about the technology behind it. Imagine you want to go on a trip, and you want to, you can right now, you can go search on the internet and you can find, travel destinations that are around there. You can go to Google Street View and see intersections of that neighborhood. You can use various rating and review sites to find out what's considered popular around there. You can do a lot of those things, but there's a significant layer of separation between you and the stuff that you're researching. And so just imagine that if, as of today, teleportation were possible, that you could actually browse the entire globe and figure out where you'd want to go, not bound by the limitations of screens and using mice and keyboards and that sort of thing. That'd be a pretty remarkable experience, and that would open up whole worlds of commerce and new lines of thought and new means of communication, and that's really what we strove to do. We have created a platform, we're calling it a location search engine, where people can search for real estate, they can search for travel destinations, for restaurants, for retail shops, vehicles, they'll be able to report news. And all of this will happen centered around one concept, which is we are creating a dialogue of places. Technologically, we've done this by reading the accelerometer and the magnetometer data inside the phone. So as you move the phone about yourself, it is tracking your movement. And I would actually like to give you all a demonstration of that now. We haven't tested this, so I don't know what the lag's about to look like. So, okay, so 30 seconds. So you'll get it here first, and then you'll get it right there in a second. We have created a platform, we're calling it a location search engine. I hate hearing my own voice. Where people can search for real estate. They can. Thanks. Okay, so this is our app. It launches right up, and you get to a screen where you can, just as I mentioned, you can choose the different categories that you're searching by. You can apply filters if you want. You can search it on a map if you would rather. And your results show up right away. And these are just places around the world. Here, first of all, I'm just looking at travel destinations, but we could have just as easily chosen a different one. So I tapped on one, and we are now in. And as I look up, we're looking up. And as I pan around for you guys to see before this 30-second lag shows you what we're seeing up on the big screen, I'm seeing there's the palm trees, there's the beautiful water. I can go all around. It responds perfectly in real time to my movement and allows me to feel as if I'm in that space. For each one of these, we also have additional metadata that we're collecting. So if you think of this as a country, just like the other countries that I've just described, we communicate with the other countries. You have a visa here, so you can actually share things that you like with those other countries like Twitter, Facebook. You can send an email to people. And so you can really start to participate in that dialogue, not just viewing it yourself, but sharing it with other people. I'll take you on one more just to get a sense of this. Any suggestions on a category to view? Huh? A blizzard? I might have some snow. We could try to search for, oh, there was some snow. Let's do something outside of travel, though, just to get a sense of, give me a, thank you. Okay. So let's try real estate, just for example. So let's go inside. Oh, I guess I chose hotels, but that's just fine. You want to just do it? Please feel free. So you all see this in a second, but he's just taking himself on a tour. And now think about the opportunity here for civilization to take a step forward. And this is just one example. That's the thing I want to keep in mind here. I want you all to keep in mind is I'm not selling this product. There's a lot of other things that we could do that are every bit as as impressive and can connect people. And it's just, for the first time ever, we're entering an era where the limits of what's possible is dictated only by the bounds of our innovators' imaginations. Last thing I want to show you on this is that we've actually made this conversation, would you please, thank you. We've made this conversation multi-directional. So we have a little accessory that I've got in my back pocket here. And anyone, if I can get this accessory out, excuse me, can now participate in the conversation. This is a little lens that you can attach onto any mobile phone. And now I can create a new tour just by taking myself in a circle to go through that entire experience. And once I'm done, and it's as easy as lining markers up and going around. And once I'm done, this is the same screen you were just used to seeing. I can choose what industry that I want to attach this to. I can apply a description. And now that I'm finished. I appreciate your help. Now I've been able to not only view other people's experiences, but I've been able to share my own with the world. And the place where I find that most interesting is I'm about to get married, and so there's a lot of people that won't be able to join me at my wedding, but to be able to capture that experience up there on the altar and have anyone be able to relive that and be able to relive that myself in the future is something I'm very excited about. So I'm out of time. I want to thank you all for your time and encourage you all to sort of think outside the box of what's possible with mobile. Thank you.